Hi, this is the ECPL watch party. We're starting soon. Here we go. Hi, everyone. We're live.
Hello, hello. Thank you all for
What's
waiting
up?
patiently. Hey, Caitlin. And we're just waiting for Jennifer to get in and then we'll get started. So I guess I'm just starting off. What did you think of the show you watched? Or which show did you watch?
So I did Living Single, and I've been watching that for a long time. That was my mom's jam, and now it's really my jam. I've always really liked the idea that they could always, hey Jennifer, hey Langston,
Hey,
Hey, girl.
we're just going to open the question.
yeah, we're talking about Living Single now, like what show we watch and stuff like that.
Welcome.
So, I've always really enjoyed the show. I thought it was really cool that Khadijah ran her own magazine and stuff like that. It's kind of part of the reason too that I liked and wanted to become a writer as well, because I was like, I mean, Khadijah could do it. I definitely could. And I thought that it was cool that we got to sort of see her like that. Maxine has always been a strong woman. She never took nothing. And it was kind of fun to see her in her in that light, actually, because I really, before that show, I never really seen female lawyers. A lot of lawyer shows are like men, or they're like white women. So I've never really seen a black woman in that role. And so that's sort of what made that a lot of fun. They had like everyone from all walks of life. And I think that that was probably the best part about it, is that they wasn't broke. They wasn't going through like family problems. Like they were just genuinely having fun. And especially back in the 90s and still now in the 2000s, I feel like we don't have enough shows where black people are just having fun. Like we're starting to move into that, but it's like everybody got a problem. There's a baby mama, there's a drug dealer, somebody doing something. So and I think that that's important because we do have fun. Some of us got our head above water and we living our best lives and we just single. So I'm not, but some of us are just single. I think but I think it's interesting as well. Like my favorite episode has to be where Kyle kind of talks about possibly changing his hair because no one will, he thinks he won't get a promotion because of it. And that's a real problem that we still deal with today. I mean, we have to find protective styles that people find attractive. Because even now, while we're all going natural and living our best lives, and if you rocking a perm and you rocking weave, then that's cool too. But when you don't fit the beauty standard, people take one look at your hair and they like, maybe not. And it makes it even harder to put your foot in the door as people become a little more particular about what they're looking for. Because a lot of people, and even in our community, think that natural hair can't be professional. And I think that that's something that a lot of us were taught like growing up. I've definitely been to interviews and my sister's like, you went like that? And I'm like, yes. And they hired you? Yes. So that part, as a kid, I didn't really get what it meant as much. I was like, well, I feel like we have enough issues. Well, when I got older and it was like someone telling me to do something with my head and things like that, that's when it became really, like, it really resonated with me that he was like, I'm not going to change this part about myself to fit your mold. And which is great. And I really, that's one of my favorite episodes. And I always think about it whenever I'll be doing my hair in the mirror.
Yes, periods. I love that. Yeah, I loved in Living Single too. I definitely never thought about it that they did not have any problems. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't no issues or anything like that, and there's no trauma or nothing like that. Like we need to go back to that. Like you said, there are good, healthy relationships, but their friendship for sure stuck out the most to me, just like how close they were. Like even they're just walking into each other's apartments, like sometimes you be like, okay now, but that you have to really be comfortable and on that level with people for it to even come down to stuff like that. So I definitely and Living Single was definitely one of my favorite ones for sure. We know a lot of things came from Living Single.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, Friends, we that's another conversation for another day.
Hello.
But it definitely influenced a lot of people. Like you said, seeing a Black woman running her own business, putting her friends on, her cousins on, you know what I'm saying, her family on. It was times where she was about to lose, you know what I'm saying, her company, and she still found a way to make it happen. Khadijah was really that person, and I admire that for sure. So I definitely feel you on that, and I definitely feel like it influenced, like I said, a lot of people. It influenced the culture. It was amazing. Like you said, I didn't really understand it back then. I'm like, okay, why y'all?
It was funny, but it wasn't like hitting home. Like
but now being older, it hits home. So yeah, you could definitely rewatch some of those episodes and be like, okay, sis, I know where you coming from when it comes to relationships. I know where you coming from when it comes to your business and all that stuff. So I definitely, Living Single definitely was the top of my list for sure. So yes, anybody else got any comments?
I like how, and I promise I don't have anything against women, girl power, women empowerment, all that stuff, because it's all great. But I like how the show wasn't overtly like, it was nice that they had a very nice balance of showing.
Yeah, everybody got their own episode. Overton had his problems, Kyle had his issues.
It wasn't just
agree.
Men, I liked. It was a very nice balance of everything.
Well, they didn't also just have like trashy men. Like, I mean, that was the plus side too. Kyle was a player, he was very suave about it, and like, he still got his comeuppance when he had all those numbers in the cell phone, and he didn't change their names, and he was just calling them and making wrong dates and stuff. So like, and then Overton was such a sweet and loving and caring dude from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't let you forget he was from Cleveland. So like, he was such a sweetheart.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But sticking with our March month, which is International Women's Month, which is why we chose Living Single. Our next back in the day show that we chose to discuss is Girlfriends, and Sarah and Langston are going to talk to us about that.
Well, you want to start, Ashley?
Yeah, so first off, I'd like to say that watching it growing up and then watching it now is completely different. 100% different.
Yes, it is.
I didn't understand.
Oh no.
A little bit.
People can actually be in their true ways. When I was young, can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Now we can. Yeah, you froze for a bit. You caught up. It's good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and how just how different relationships interact. And I guess it's because I was younger and I probably didn't have those situations at that time. But now that I've gone through those situations, I'm like, wow, okay, I understand. It's a little bit different. So how about you?
What was the first part of your question? I think that's what
you just asking about your feelings about the show in general.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, first of all, like I said, from young to now, loved it. Okay, just absolutely freaking loved it. I think going like I said, watching it then and then watching it now as I'm older, it's a lot of stuff. I was sitting back like, wow. It's funny that a lot of the stuff that they were speaking on could be so prevalent for today that even if they came back, which I really hope they do, but even if they came back, I think it would be even more awesome because like how like I mean certain things like shoot, I forgot the one episode. Dang, so many of them. But anyway, my point being is I like how you know what? That was one. There was it wasn't per se my favorite episode, but there was like a colorism episode in a way when Tony and all of them went on internet dates. And Tony had met the one guy and she was all happy, blah, blah. But then when he was like 3 shades darker than her, she was turned off. And they was all looking at her like, how dare you? Like, what, what's going on? Black power, the movement just slipped past you. I can't say what Maya said, but whatever. And but it's interesting that there are some people that still do think that way to this day. Like, I can't have a child with somebody is darker or that because my child will come out like this. And then, and it was that, I guess, to me, like I said, even though it wasn't my favorite episode, to me, it spoke on the level of it was kind of nice to know that even somebody as diva-ish as Tony was, because obviously she was my favorite, but to know that she had that little bit of that insecurity, like, oh, I wouldn't want my daughter or son per se going through anything that I would have to go, that I've been through growing up, you know what I'm saying? So, but other than that, I mean, it's my favorite show. Just can't help it. I just love it. And I love how the fashion elevated over the years. Good God, I loved it. Okay.
Now, they were some trendsetters. Girlfriend definitely was the first that I
Their
saw.
fashion was better.
Yeah,
I
that's I'm
always
like
liked
they
Lynn.
definitely got better.
I love Lynn's
I love
outfits. Lynn probably was the person that definitely showed my style. Like, as I got older, I was like, I'm gonna be comfortable. I really don't have time for whatever. Like, I always felt like the other ones were really dressed to the nines, and I was just like, y'all doing the most. But then I would see Lynn, and she would show up in whatever, and they would be dragging her. But I was like, but she's comfortable though. But she could run away if she needed to though, and I think she's always been comfortable. Absolutely.
Yeah. I respected very much how they all had their own, paths going on, and they even respected, and they helped Lynn out a lot more than anybody nowadays that probably help somebody out.
Man, what?
Because they over waters for her, and it was just like, sometimes did you ever feel like she might have been ungrateful about it?
Yes.
Or do you always feel like she always cared?
No.
But I think the good part, they were real characters though, because there's nobody that's not ungrateful at certain points. Like, I mean, even Tony would have her moments. She'd be like, oh, and then she's like, okay, so you so ghetto. Like, they would all have like their moments, and they were not unbalanced characters. They were toxic. They were friends. They were frenemies. It was the whole nine. And I think we don't see a lot of women like that on TV that are educated but still able to be who they are. You're either like ghetto and loud, obnoxious, or you're very elegant and uppity. It's like there's no like mix.
A great balance.
Yeah, that's true. That is so true. So who was, just last thing with girlfriends, who was your favorite character growing up? And then when you rewatched it, did that change? And then who was somebody you thought was toxic back in the day? And then as an adult, you rewatched it and you realized maybe they weren't so toxic, maybe somebody else was toxic. So
okay, so
who was the start?
I definitely grew up loving Joan, and I feel like growing up it was kind of like that colorism thing too, where she's my favorite character, and then watching it now, I know she was toxic, and she just had a lot of things where she should have checked with her friends before she went about and doing what she was doing. And then I always thought that Tony was toxic growing up. But I still feel like because she still did Jabari, poor Jabari, she just never never said his name right, and she did not care.
I love it.
That's like your sister. That's like your nephew.
She said it right one time. Mm-hmm.
That ain't good enough.
It's not good enough. Not at all.
Imagine your best friend
12 years old.
name wrong.
And he got 1,000 names. He don't know which one.
I do appreciate that Maya and Tony was able to be friends in the end, because at first they weren't. I didn't notice that growing up when I was watching it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. I did not notice Maya and Tony's shady relationship. Like you said, till you're older, you're like, oh, okay, y'all definitely did not like each other. Right. But that is also, like you said, it was just so realistic, because that's how groups are. You know what I'm saying? You bring certain, hey, this is my coworker. You know what I'm saying? This is my girlfriend. My girl went to school with. Yeah, she like, keep her in her place. But like you said, I'm glad that evolves. But I definitely agree with you as well. Like Lynn and Joan were my favorite. I felt like it was color colorism as well because I could relate, like her light skin, you know, okay, we there. But I did love Maya growing up. I still love Maya.
Yes.
The older I got,
Yeah,
and
Maya's that
rewatching it, Maya was definitely my
Yeah.
favorite. I feel like Maya stayed true to herself, no matter what it was. Even when they went shopping at one time, and she like, oh no, I don't want to shop, and to buy the expensive dress, and then she bought it, and then you know her husband was like, okay, it's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're allowed to treat yourself. So I definitely love Maya. Definitely agreed that Tony was the toxic one back in the day. Now
I'm about to leave this
rewatching
chat
it,
room now.
you'll have your moment. You'll have your moment. Rewatching it now, Tony was still very toxic, but I will add Joan to that mix. Especially their relationship. It was very, very. They had the most toxic bond between any of the other girls.
And let's not forget how Joan did William at the end. I didn't realize she just kept toying with him like that.
Oh yes, and we forgot about William.
William
honestly, he had to be my new favorite.
William was a good
William was probably one of my
I was like, this dude is
favorites.
just like always here. Like
always him at the end of what?
William's probably my favorite. Like when I rewatch it, and which I actually did when it first came back to Netflix, I was like, this is me. I did not realize how funny William was because I didn't get his humor when I was younger. So when I was younger, like I was like, it's Lynn. Why can't they just let Lynn be Lynn? But as I got older, I was like, you know what? William's a real breakout star because he would be sitting there like, I'm just trying to get by. And everyone's like, shut up, William. But I was like, yeah, that's for me.
But Langston, I was saying like when they had got together and then she like saying she didn't love him, then they got back together and then he was like with his ex-girlfriend, which I didn't realize he kept going back to that same girlfriend like 5 million times.
Yeah.
Every other season. I'm like, man, that was more serious than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So
we all know Langston's favorite
character.
Langston.
We're gonna put him out there. It's Tony.
Oh, it's me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's shut all of y'all down real quick. I got 5 minutes. Here we go. No, you know what? Like I said, growing up, I actually liked all of them except for Lynn.
You probably thought Lynn was just a little poor thing.
Hobo.
I did. I said I was tired of her outfits. I was just upset. I'm like, you're a loser. You're getting on my nerves. I'm sick of you. I want you gone. But
no Lynn slander will be tolerated.
Water.
But rewatching it when I grow up, as I got older now, she's still my favorite. Even though the only reason why I feel like she got her toxicity, however you say that word, but I feel like I saw a lot of character development for her. You know what I'm saying? Especially, she backtracked a little bit because the one season she was like doing real good. Then it's like, but anyway, my bad. And then Joan stayed one of my second favorite.
She stayed?
The wardrobe. You know, I learned about Kristen Louboutins from her. So, you know, that is what it is.
Love it.
Lynn, the funny part watching back again, I still low-key don't like her. I liked her more as her wardrobe progressed, but I started
It's not always about the clothes, Langston.
Right. What about their character development,
man? I started to see like, okay, she's lovable. She, and I'm like, you know what? There are people like that. Obviously for a show, they're going to over-exaggerate certain things. Even though there are probably some people really like that out there, but I'm like, you know what? She is just one of them people that she is smart because she had 5 freaking degrees. You know, she's lazy. Some of us are lazy. Some of us are procrastinators. Some of us are scared of what's to come in our future. Some of us don't know what we want. Some of us do. So you know what? So it's like after watching, I'm like, okay. Now Maya, I liked her as I was growing up, but then rewatching it, I started to figure out I don't like her anymore because she was all good up until I can't name the exact season. It may have been in 4 or 5. Huh?
Was it after she cheated?
That's a whole nother conversation within itself because that was a plot.
We can't have that one.
I'm just saying.
Have that one.
Yeah, that's a plot. But whatever season was, it's just she started being so, I'll just use that word, toxic towards Lynn. And I didn't like that. it's like she kept on like in one episode, she literally was like, no, Lynn is supposed to be the loser of this group. I'm not supposed to be the loser of the group. It's like, huh?
Oh,
And I felt like she kept trying to do things.
Pull it up.
Huh?
Pull the tape up. I don't remember that.
I wish I could. I promise I wish I could.
What's the season? What's the episode?
I
What's the
promise
time?
you. See, you know what? Ooh,
He'll come back with that information.
I
at the
sure
end.
will. I sure will. But yeah,
You
she
got to
did.
Google
Like,
that
you know,
real
it was
quick.
the way newer. Her and Darnell were back together at this point and stuff like that. But yeah, she did. And it was like, I always felt like Maya started doing, like, if you, like I said, if you pay attention per se, it's like you'll notice, like I said, Maya was starting to do a lot of things to, I guess, it seemed like she was trying to keep up with Tony and Joan. And it was like, she didn't care what Lynn was doing because she was like, oh, I'm up. But yeah, but in that episode specifically, that really did kind of turn me off about her. And I'm like, more and more, it was just like, you just like, you want your friend to be a loser? And it's like, no, I don't like that. No, we're all supposed to grow.
So what if, since she was a working mother who didn't really have the access to 5 degrees and, you know, friends who's just going to let me live with them at all times, what if she looked at Lynn like, I'm over here struggling and you just are just like, you don't even care?
She did. No, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. That I did not disagree with. Because I, like you just said, I'm a working mama. The girl, you smart as heck. You was able to finish school 5 times and all that stuff. So no, and that was an episode in particular that, you know, when she got Lynn's behind together, like, girl, is this what you want to do with your life? No, you know, so I appreciate, but that was the good Maya. That's why I'm like, I don't know what transcended to make her start really being a real weotch, as we would say. But
I don't know. What if, you know how like you start hanging out with people and you know, you're testing them out and then you start to be your real self because, you know, they're starting to feel who you are. And, you know, it seems like they changed, but that was who they are the whole time. They were just making sure, you know, that was going to be okay to be in this group of friends. Is that okay with this? Okay, I got a pinch. I'm about to take a mile. Okay.
Yeah.
Do this? Okay. Like, you know, I can do a little bit more, Not making up an excuse for her. I'm just.
No, I mean, no, that's a valid point. But I'll just end it on, it's funny because I heard this, I think it was in church. But anyway, somebody it was in church. The minister, he actually made a good point that I feel like everybody can use in their daily life, especially being with friends or your associates, coworker, whatever. But he was like, sometimes you got to realize whom is your friend and whom is just somebody you have a lot in common with. Because you can have a lot in common with somebody and y'all can just have fun when y'all together, blah, blah, but that don't mean y'all necessarily are friends. You know,
you have to move the word acquaintance back into your vocabulary. So, that's it. Which is actually funny that we actually talk about friends and acquaintances because Little Fires Everywhere has nothing but acquaintances.
Yes. Okay. Are everybody good with girlfriends?
Yeah.
Girlfriends? Okay.
Tony all day.
Sorry, good transition. Swipe.
That might be another conversation for another day. I think we're going to revisit girlfriends because
I'm just saying, y'all.
I think we might have to do like a small mini series about that in itself.
Yeah.
But so Little Fires Everywhere. We have there's a book on it. It's based in Ohio's own Shaker Heights, Cleveland, Ohio. Shaker Heights, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. We all
That's
in
my
the same
school,
area. So we got 2 alumni. So we're from Shaker, me and Jennifer, living our best lives, being ridiculous.
Period.
And so let's just start off sort of with the premise of it for those who watch this on Hulu. And pretty much these 2 moms, after Mia moves into Shaker, she gets to know Elena, who ends up helping her out. Richardson, that's her last name. I'm like, what's her last name? Richardson. She gets to know Elena Richardson, and their children become friends. And what comes with that, along with a wife and mother of 4, being Elena, and a wife, and I'm just a mother actually of 1, moving around and everything like that. Their differences and just the community in general. The interesting thing is that Shaker is very interesting. It's got a lot of quirks and niches. And what I mean by that is, oddly enough, Shaker in itself is its own bubble. Every school is right next to each other. It's built so that no child will have to cross a major street at all. You can walk to school. Everything's right next to each other. You all know each other. And most of the time, your siblings went there. Everybody and their mama went to Shaker. You knew everybody in Shaker. Your sister went there. Your brother went there. Your cousin went there. Your mother went there. I had several cousins that went there myself. A lot of my family members went there. So get this conversation started. I guess the first one we'll talk about is Mia and Pearl, because we were introduced to them first moving into the city or suburb.
Does anyone feel like Pearl had a right to feel the way she did about wanting to be in like a stable home and in the same place?
Absolutely. I think, and I was actually weirdly enough saying this because my fiance was watching with me. Mia just wanted to be free. So, and she got her freedom. But the problem is that when you never been locked up, you don't crave freedom. Pearl has to move around a lot. She never gets to make friends. She doesn't get any structure. It's not fun for her. While Mia's like, nothing's going to tie me down because of the way her parents were, Pearl has never been tied down. She's never been stuck in some humdrum city, waiting on the next thing to come. She's always moving. And I think that you get, upset and embarrassed when you can't live a normal life because you keep moving. And then it's not like you're living a good life wherever you are either. You're living like hand to foot every time, out the foot every time, and you're just like upset. So I think that I think that conversation they had where she was like, I want to stay, and Mia's like, well, I don't want to be locked down anywhere. It's like she's never been to jail, so she can't ask for freedom. She's had nothing but freedom.
That's true, though. I definitely agree. And then you got to think, just being a kid. Pearl is a teenager. You know what I'm saying? You want to create friendships. You want to maybe do something in school, after school activities. You want to be able to invite your friends over. You want to be able to do the simple things. And like you said, she was never able to do that. And then it comes a time when you become old enough and you start seeing other families around you and other stability around you. You're like, what? Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, when are you going to show me stability? You get what I'm saying? And I think that's what, like you said, like Mia was free, but she was not thinking about her stability for Pearl. And that wasn't fair to Pearl. And you also have to think about that when you're a parent, that's not fair to your children too. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff that she didn't allow Pearl to do or allowed her to do, you get what I'm saying? Like you said, it was because of her own experience and what her parents shut her down from doing and how she had to run away. You get what I'm saying? So it was just, I agree with Pearl. I was glad she did get that in Mia's head that like, hey, can we stay at least? Like, you want to do month to month? Like, we're in school. It's hard on kids. Like you said, it was nothing. It wasn't a good stability or a good home anytime they were moved. It was just like literally like you got your house by literally getting called the police on you. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's literally how all of that, how you end up getting the house pretty much. It's like,
well, it's also the different education systems as well, which is noted that she's got way too many sets of transcripts. And I think they actually talk about how Shaker is different from public schools. It is, and someone said you get a private school, you get a public school, you get private school education at public school cost, which is very true. Actually, some of the children that came from Cleveland and went to Shaker, there was a learning curve, and it was a huge learning curve because when you get to Shaker High School, the lowest class is college prep, CP, and then you go to honors and then you go to AP. Whereas so I know definitely kids who moved in, they were like, you were tested and placed in certain areas and you were placed in extra classes as well. So I think that that's the other problem too, is that your education is all messed up. Somebody teaches this and somebody teaches that. So you don't have a
I feel like Pearl, maybe even though she was hurting her mom and everything she did, I feel like because she never had those interactions, that I feel like she didn't even know anything wrong. To an extent, at some extent, I do feel like she knew what was going on, whatever. But I feel like in the beginning, like she really just didn't even know. Like she just seen the family who seemed happy and was offering her stuff. So she was like, whatever, cool.
Right. She wasn't meaning any sense by it.
Like, what do you think?
I'm catching up here.
Oh, Blake's still, he hasn't finished the show just yet. He's still catching up on it.
It was it was wild.
Okay, so how about
a little lost, but it was, yeah.
How about Lexi? What you guys think, Alexa?
Oh my God.
Wouldn't recommend her. Okay, would not recommend her at
Jennifer,
all.
1 out of
why did you
10
like
would not do again.
Hell, she
Why
stressed
did
me
you
out.
sexy Jennifer?
No, yeah, she.
So I think
Oh,
I
no.
will say on Lexi's part, I will say that Lexi had it right when she said she ain't had no hardships. Okay. I think
She did.
and I think that the conversation that was had at the table, and that really bothered me a lot when Elena's like, well, I mean, we work hard so you wouldn't have any hardships. And I was like, okay. And they're like, well, what kind of essay is this? So I think that I think it's
she
interesting.
did steal the essay.
Yeah, she's like, if you're not a if you're not a crackhead or something like that, then you can't get into Yale. And I was like, well, students need to overcome stuff, and I think that it's very interesting that Lexi. I can't really defend her, but I feel like I understand why she was nervous. And as we get to the end of her kind of character arc and realize that she's always pressured to be perfect, I can understand why, it was literally crushing her. And I think that that's why she went out and did some of the things that she did. She's clearly a nervous child. They all seem to have some type of mental issue because of their mom's huge need to be perfect. And it's actually, oddly enough, kind of the way Shaker is. Nothing really gets out of Shaker. Anything that bad happens in Shaker, you really don't see it on the news. We are a happy suburb. Nothing bad ever happens here. The worst thing that happens in Shaker is a lady gets bit by a dog. I mean, literally.
Well, back in the day, girl, stuff happened to Shaker
now. The thing
now.
about the community is that we're a happy home. You can't tell anybody. You go into Shaker, everybody's lawn is cut. Everybody's really sweet. Everybody's, hey, how you doing? Everyone's really nice. And I think it's interesting that as Elena tried to push that on Lexi, this is what we have, a broken child. And I think
So I have a question.
She sounds pretty spoiled to me.
She was.
She's broken. It ain't spoiled. She's both.
I have a question. Since you both went to Shaker and you had mentioned all the schools were in the same spot, so y'all got a North High School and a South High School?
No, so that's the difference. It's only one high school. It's 4 elementary schools. It's Woodbury,
which is technically a middle
everybody comes together
area.
for, which is 5th and 6th. Then you have the middle school where everybody comes together again for 7th to 8th, and then you have the high school. But like I said, the 4 elementary schools, you come together to your 5th or 6th year. Now those, we said, the middle school had teams. So 7th grade, it would be North,
South,
East,
East,
South,
and
yeah,
West,
and then 8th grade, it would be a different thing. So that
it was Byron,
maybe where they got
it was
it
the
from.
street names.
Yeah, but we didn't have an East Shaker or a North Shaker, nothing like that. So that's why I was it kind of made me mad in this series. I'm
I'm not from here, but I'm pretty sure it's only one.
No, girl, it ain't that many Shaker high schools. No, thank goodness. One is enough.
So since y'all went to Shaker also, do y'all feel like your high school experience was anywhere near their high school experience?
It definitely was, in the fact that while Shaker is very inclusive, there are undertones in the community that can make people feel uncomfortable. I actually lived on the other side of the tracks. There's 2 tracks that go through on Van Aken. And me and my friend in 4th grade, they were asking us where we live. And around this time, Shaker had extended their border. So they had gone towards Cleveland. And we were the kids that lived in Cleveland. So we tried to say where we were, and our teacher kept telling us, you don't live there. You can't live there. That's not Shaker. And it's concerning as a 4th grader. You're like, what do you mean I don't live in Shaker? I go to Shaker schools. But there's definitely a lot of undertones that no one is blatant about it. And all in all, it's a really nice community. But there are those moments where you kind of see
that
things.
Teacher probably caught you using somebody else's address. She probably thought she caught you using somebody else's address instead of going through open enrollment.
There's actually,
you have the knowledge of knowing that the lines were extended.
It's awkwardly weird that Shaker is accidentally segregated. Across, if you cross Van Aken, it's where the border extended. So all the Black kids are on that side. There are some Black kids in Shaker that live in Shaker. Their parents did well, but after they extended the border, we all crossed over to go there. So, and like, there's actually a sign when I was heading home that would say, "Welcome to Shaker Heights." So, it's an interesting bubble because we all just accept and know that it is what it is, but it's different. I don't know how to describe it.
It's definitely, that's what I'm saying. Now the white privilege part of Little Fires Everywhere, they hit that on the head for sure.
Okay.
Especially when it came to how Pearl got denied or was like going through trouble
Yeah,
trying to
couldn't
get the
move
class.
up.
Yeah, like that. I went through that. Like, you know, like,
lot
and
of
like
us
me and
did.
Kayla were talking about, it was easy to, it was hard to get into like a honors class or AP class if you were colored, but they would drop you in a heartbeat. Like,
Immediately.
you know what I'm saying? But other students, like, you'd be like, okay, it's the same thing here. But yeah, they would look for it. They would, or keep you like, are you sure this is what you want to do? You want to do honors?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Well, it's going to be a lot of work. And are you sure you're going to? And it's like, if you want me to just stay in CP classes, just stay there. They used to literally call them like the color people classes because that's where they would want to keep us. Like, they wouldn't want, we would have to literally fight or beg our counselors to be like, I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I want an honors class. I want an AP class. Like, oh, I know I could do it. Like, it's like, okay. And then that's crazy. You brought up the tracks. I literally just was talking to somebody recently and they were like, found out I was from Shaker. Like, oh yeah, what side of the tracks did you stay on?
Yeah, are you
that
on that
is
side
real.
Of the tracks?
Yeah, it's really like if you were on one side of the tracks, you were on the nicer houses and all this other stuff. But like you said, you're on the other side of the tracks. It's like, sis, do you really live in Shaker?
Yeah, do you really live in Shaker?
But we had literally friends from the neighborhood on both sides. Like on the other side of the track, I had friends from Kinsman and Buckeye. You get what I'm saying? Because we were so close over there, but we still went to Shaker schools because you know what I'm saying. That's where the border was. But
yeah, the border got extended.
Yeah, like I said, the white privilege for sure. Like with Lexi and the essay and stuff, and Pearl in the classes, that is for
that hit home.
That hit
home for sure.
Definitely. You think the perfect ones, like Lexi couldn't even write her own, couldn't even think of anything. You get what I'm saying? But this is somebody who's trying to go. Yeah, she had to steal somebody else's story when it really came down to showing what you learned and what you are capable of. You get what I'm saying? Her getting into Yale or wherever she got it was a fake, you know? Like she didn't really deserve that. So yeah, we saw that a lot as well too. With college.
So it's like she used Pearl's letter. She lied and said Pearl's the one that had the abortion. Like it was just like.
Yeah, we always take the fall. You never want to, but that comes back to Caitlin saying like, Elaine wanted her to be so perfect. You get what I'm saying? You have that pressure. Okay, I'm trying to keep up with my parents and what they want me to do and stuff like that. So it is kind of hard. So maybe, okay, but Lexi's still,
she's broken.
Yeah,
I don't think we can label her as bad. Because I think it's the same thing. Like as you saw, Trip and Moody seemed to be fine. Moody didn't get a lot of attention and Trip just was lacking in education because obviously Elena puts way more on the girls than she does the boys. Mm-hmm. So I think that the interesting part is that Trip was like, every time they called him stupid, he would just be like, fine. And he would just try to accept his role as the dummy in the family. And no one said, stop, you're not stupid, right? If you notice, their parents really don't defend them. Like, and then when Trip's picking on Moody, everybody's like, come on, Moody, don't be weird. And they're like, I'm like, okay. And I think the same thing came with Izzy, especially when she brought up the fact that, like, they refused to call her Izzy. She's like, you call everybody else a nickname. Why can't I have my nickname? And she's like, oh, well, that's because, and she, she kind of confronts her. It's because you don't like it. And I think that that's the interesting part. On top of Elena not wanting Izzy, I think that it's because Izzy was just so different and sort of just couldn't fit into that cookie cutter shape that Lexi did. I think that was also part of a huge issue and all of them being broken. And I think that that's the thing that sort of made it even worse. I think that we should have saw more of Bill. I think that Bill played that role of, when they say dads, they're babysitting their kids. And it's like, no, dads can't babysit. Like, I think that unfortunately.
Right, like at home with his kids, that's all.
And I think that unfortunately, while Bill was there for Izzy, I'm angry that he wasn't there for her the way he should have been. Elena had literally everybody else's back, and except for Izzy's. So I feel like she was definitely a lost sheep, and she was broken
like
too.
Bill was scared. I feel like he was like, the issue was too important to his wife that he was like, I don't even know like what to really do.
He started standing up at the end though when he was like, "So you threatened her?" And he's like, "No." And she's like,
because
no,
it comes to a point where you get tired and fed up. But I definitely agree with you and Sarah. Like Bill was definitely scared. Everybody was scared.
Absolutely.
Like everybody was scared of her. I don't know why, but I mean, well, a white woman, you know,
He was just mischievous. Like everything she was doing was like kind of under the waters, and it was like, whoa,
backhanded.
What are you doing?
So
absolutely backhanded.
I definitely Lexi was my least favorite, so we can say that for sure.
Izzy was my favorite, and I just really want to know like where is she?
Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy was my favorite. Even rewatching it, I loved Izzy. I felt like they did her so wrong. That's why I'm like, oh my gosh, she has to come back more, and that's why I got to finish reading the book because I'm like, is that how it ended or what? Because I didn't know what to my girl Izzy. Like,
do you think it's gonna be a part 2 or?
Now, from what I've researched, because I did watch it when it first came out, it's not supposed to be one unless she comes out with another book.
Okay.
So I don't know, but it's also like kind of like Lovecraft, where I feel like if they can think of some more stuff, I mean, maybe they'll just make another season off of it if they get enough people to be like, what happened? But yeah, from the research I saw, it was only that mini limited time series, and they weren't going to come out with anything else, which was really sad because they did just stuff everything into that little 8-part series. But yeah, I need to know what happened to Izzy, because she got done the worst. She got done the worst, and like you said, Elaine not wanting her, it definitely showed. It showed, and I think that's what made me so mad about her not really being sentimental to Mia's case, even though it's different, but it's like you kind of were there, sis. You know what I'm saying? You did not want this last kid. You had it because of your mother. You get what I'm saying? And it's like Izzy gave you hell, and it's like you felt like you had to pay her back with how you treated her. You know what I'm saying? Even from her, Izzy being a baby, she wasn't like she cried a lot, you know. But I feel like babies can sense that and feel that with their parents, you know, like so.
I feel like that. I kind of feel like that issue, like she knew she didn't want to have Izzy. So I feel like that's where abortion and stuff comes into play, where it's like, I'd rather not torture her.
Right.
I'm not. You know, I'm sure she doesn't want to, but it's like we just don't get along. Like I don't get why we don't get along.
Right.
And it's just like it's not going to make sense in her head because she doesn't want it to make sense. She never wanted her. She never wanted anything to do with her. So she's not going to, you know, put it in her head like, let me just figure this out.
Well, I think Elena was upset with her life too, though, because every time she went back to work, when she went back to work and found out she was pregnant, she was just devastated. She like, and I think Izzy hit the nail on the head when she said, "Are you mad about him working at the Times and you don't? Like, are you mad that you're at Shaker Times and you're not at New York Times?" And I think that's the thing. Parents tend to do it a lot where they sort of take out their frustrations. She's mad that she got stuck at home. That's her fault though, and no one else's. So I think that unfortunately, and I think it speaks to the fact that some women feel like they're trapped when they have kids, or sometimes when they feel the wife role. And I think, and this is also the 80s and the 90s type deal. So the functioning of their family is completely different than the functioning of ours and how we see things happen. And a lot of people actually watch their mothers do that, and they decide that they will not ever fit in that box. And so, I don't know, I thought it was just interesting that Elena clearly has regrets, just like Mia clearly has regrets. They were really one and the same, honestly. I think Mia as a child, honestly, I hated her character, I think the most, and I think I disliked her more than Elena, actually.
You like Mia?
I didn't like Mia because she made me think about Denise Huxtable or like Zoe from Grownish, where they kind of do their own thing and then they feel bad when things blow up in their face. And it's like, you didn't think this through. You didn't choose to think this through. Okay. And I think that it's not fair that you push it on her. And even Pearl said, so I can't go to the Richardson's house, but Izzy can come over here.
Yeah.
And you let her in your studio, and you let her, and I like Mia was probably the biggest hypocrite of all until the very end. She just really felt like I'm a good person. I'm a good person. And you don't need to know my secrets. And I was like, no, that's really not fair. She's like, you came from me. Only think about me. So
to be fair, her secret was a pretty big secret. So it was like that would blow up the whole world.
but
That was
I think
a
too,
real secret.
like,
that was like, whoa.
but I think you should have, but at the same time though, you deserve and you demand your child to tell you things. And it like goes back to when you find out your parents can lie to you, that's heart-wrenching. It's hard to think of. These people are supposed to love you, take care of you, and be there for you. So for your mom to be like this to you, especially when you've been sitting on almost $500,000, you paying BB's fees and stuff like that. Me as a child,
that money situation, I was pretty mad about that.
Yeah, now that was ridiculous.
Nowhere near it.
That was ridiculous.
I was like, no, I don't agree with that at all.
So what do y'all think about BB, Mirabelle or Maylin, depending on which name and family you going with? What do y'all think about what happened between those two? Whose side was you on? Were you torn? And how did you feel about who ended up with the baby?
Who was Mirabelle?
Mirabelle was the baby that they was fighting the court case.
They was fighting over that BB left her baby, and then the white family took it.
Yeah, and she used her car with a little sticker on it. That's why I said the sticker in the comment.
Yeah.
And shakers.
But first of all, this also goes back to people needing to learn how to mind their business. Because
oh my God,
Mia knew that information, and I get you. But also, like you said, Caitlin, like if I okay, I can find out the information, but like you said, when you have deep, dark secrets. That if you would have told Pearl beforehand, then I would have been like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Tell BB about her child or something like that. But you had deep, dark secrets dealing with children, and you wouldn't even let your own child know that. You get what I'm saying? Right. So now you dipping in somebody else's stuff to save her. But it's like, I get why you did it, but it's also like it completely backfired in your face. Completely backfired. And I was torn because what do you do? Like, this family did take this child in when the mother left it. You know what I'm saying? I get why the mother left it, which we was just talking about when you don't want a kid or when you feel like it's just not the best situation, then sometimes it is best to just leave your child. Then whether you just keep harming it and hurting it. Yeah. So maybe that was the best decision, but it's also like, you can't just be, it's not no toy or nothing. You can't just be, oh yeah, I want my baby back now. Like, that's not how it works. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's also like, Mia should have just minded her business.
There's a lot of moms out here like that who think they can just change their mind. And it's like, when you make a decision that large off of a temporary, emotion swing or whatever, it's like, you can't come back from some decisions. So
I mean, you can't break like that in front of your children. I will say, like he said, anybody can be a mother. No, they can't, because if there's a lot of strongness that comes to being a mom, and one of them is sometimes breaking or holding faith, because you need your child to really believe that you're gonna be okay, even if you don't believe it. There's been plenty of times, I'm sure, that somebody's mother has felt, I don't know how I'm gonna make it to the end of the week. I don't know, and we gonna eat. You know what I'm saying? There's been plenty of times people, they feed their kids and they tell their child they're not hungry. And I think that there's a lot of mental stress, as we saw with Mia, Elena, and BB, and the McCullers in general, that comes with your child. The idea that someone could just come and take your child away is terrifying. But the fact also, like they brought up in court, that child was, free, like she was burned or whatever because she had like it was too cold. Yeah, like, and I thought that was terrible, because I was like, you guys, like, you did abandon the child.
Like, you didn't even take her into the location. You just dropped her off.
Yeah,
you did
outside,
not stay to see if they opened the door.
And actually,
they hadn't have heard
the fire department, they'll have a firefighter or someone come get the baby for like 3 days and actually give the mom a chance to come back and get it, because they know people just freak out, in the moment. So
she had a right to be scared. I just don't think she had a right to kind of renege on it. I think that she should have just accepted that they were a better family. She shouldn't have stormed in their house. Now that she had found them, I think she could have had a relationship with them if she had attempted to. But I think at the same time, I think it's hard to be foreign in our country and not understand our laws. And I think that was the other part of it. There was clearly a language barrier, and that was just her own issue as well. She's already here illegally, so she's terrified. You know what I
But
mean?
now you've made it worse. Instead of taking it, showing them that you have a job, showing them that, you're getting this all together. And no, you can't take care of her right now, but you can come in. Like, I just want to come see her. I want her to know who I am. A kid's going to call mom who said they know who mom is. They know who's taking care of them.
Absolutely.
So that's not going to be a question at all. I'm the one waking you up, feeding you. I'm the one putting you to sleep. I'm the one doing, you know who mom is. So while you know that's your real mom, she can work towards it and they can work for a relationship together. I don't think you should keep the other child away.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I have a question.
Though, once that happened, I don't think they will let it happen.
I have a question. Well, two, before we wrap all of this up. To you, Jen, since you're reading the book, I want to know, one, is the book sticking true per se to the actual series? And the second question for you and Kimberly, do y'all think that Shaker maybe was somewhat of the blueprint for some of these other schools, such as like when I live in Maple. So it was interesting because you said all the schools was in like a vicinity where all the kids could walk and didn't have to cross no major streets and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's interesting when I think about it, because I'm like, my elementary school was literally right there. And then my high school was like literally right up the street. And then the middle school was right across the street and away from the high school. So do y'all think that's probably where some of these schools got that idea, something like that? But like I said, the book did that.
The book definitely has been different.
Okay.
It's typically it always is. For example, I didn't get too far into the book, but what Lexi in the show, she steals Pearl's story. In the book, Pearl actually writes Lexi's essay for her.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like the whole Pearl and Trip thing, like Lexi and Pearl weren't friends at the beginning. Like they kind of
right.
close at the end, because Lexi was using her, whatever. In the book, Lexi and Pearl like kick it. Like they kick it. Like when she coming over there, she like, remember how she was coming from Moody, really? Like Lexi kind of like yet again was like, oh, I feel bad for her, and they started kicking it. So that's kind of a difference. The whole, like I said, Pearl actually writing her essay for her was a difference. And I want to say something else. Izzy and Mia's relationship is pretty much the same, how she kind of goes to her in confidence for a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's different. I mean, like I said, it typically always is. They always have to shorten stuff down, but
make it juicy for TV.
Yeah, and that's why I'm also like, y'all could have spread this out.
Yeah. Really?
Y'all really could have spread this out. Yeah, like come on now. I don't understand that. But yeah,
as for the blueprint thing,
I don't know.
I'm not really quite sure. Shaker's also interesting because our levy's always fast. They always like everything is based on the community. Like we don't have lights because we don't have night games because people were complaining about the lights disturbing them. So we don't have like, it's weird to think that Shaker might be a blueprint. We've been around for a long time. First segregated, I think one of the first segregated schools, integrated schools, which is like Ludlow, which is like up the street. So it's been around for a while. I don't know if we're a blueprint for anything that's been built around. I know that for a while there was no other schools like Shaker. I could say at least that much. It is interesting that you mentioned that though, that Maple is like that. That the schools are all like sort of close.
Well, I mean, it was then. I mean, now just the high school and the middle school are like in the same vicinity as each other. Like the high school right there, then the middle school is like right across the street. So it's like now, I mean, like I said before, the middle school was like you have to walk, blah blah, and then was there. But now they're directly across from each other. So I mean, that's now. But the elementary schools, like I said, so much has changed because now the elementary schools have been broken down, and it's like two grades of school. It's very crazy. But I'm saying back then when I was there, it was like 1, 2, 3, you know, so.
No, that is something. Shaker is one of the only places I really have heard of that has like so many elementary schools.
Yeah, we
because
have like
when
4 or 5.
I talk to people, they be like, "Oh no, I was like K through 6," and I'm like, "Huh? Like your school has that many?" Or I even heard like K through 7th, and I'm like, "It's that many of y'all in one school?" Like we literally had so many separate. That's what I'm like. Even with it like 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th, and then we got back to 4 when we got back to high school.
And then our schools got retired as well. Because like Ludlow, we had another one, and you could go to Ludlow, but it became a summer school for a while as well. Like I think I went to summer school at Ludlow. We didn't use that school anymore, or we were told the bad kids went to that school. We had like a lot of Shaker. Like a school has like there was so many middle like schools or whatever, and then you would like meet everybody in 5th and 6th grade. You would meet everybody again. It was like interesting, and you have been like, and that's how you know you've been going like hanging out with somebody since since kindergarten. Oh, I know them since kindergarten. We went to Honorway together. Okay,
5th and 6th is something different because that's when you met everybody. Yeah, but elementary, yeah. So that's what
we all had our own school songs. Yeah, we all had our own school songs.
Yeah. So but that's like Shaker is weird, anyways. But we have to talk about Mia's whole story. I have to bring up Tiffany Boone. I think that's who played the younger Mia. She did an amazing job. Like when I first watched it, I thought it was Kerry Washington. Cause I'm like, did she got her movements down? She got everything down to a T. Like it was literally like watching her. That's what I just had to bring that up. I just loved the younger Mia. She definitely played that role. But
I like to talk about sexuality of younger Mia too. So she's like clearly she seems to be in like sort of bisexual area, whereas Isabel seems to be in like the lesbian area, and it's kind of interesting because sexuality is a spectrum, so it's not really a full on or full off like type deal. I thought it was interesting that like Mia had no issue with men or women, and she wasn't afraid to say anything, but it was like one of those if someone asked that was we were in love, but if not, then it would be like that sometimes. So I thought that was interesting too.
I did like that. I liked her. What was the lady's name? Her and her teacher's bond.
Oh yeah. I can't think of her name. I
definitely respected that. I did feel bad about Mia going to her brother's funeral and her parents shunning her away because of the baby. Like I felt so bad about that. I think that's also why she ended up keeping Pearl. In the long run is because of what her brother said to her before he had passed and that whole conversation. Now I see why she kept on to the car because I'm like, dang girl, why you got this car? Like when you gonna let this little
I was like, oh, that makes sense.
When you gonna let it go? But now I understand why she had it, why it meant so much to her because of her brother. But yeah, that whole little and then how did y'all even feel about the guy approaching her? Like,
oh wait, hold on. What was you saying, Ms. Green? Wait, she said
I
don't
understand why her parents didn't even like ask. Like they just disagreed with it. Like they didn't even know really
what was it about.
What was going on? Like they didn't know.
I think they were too disappointed.
Get money. Like they didn't even give her that chance.
I think they were just too disappointed, and also based on the time, I don't know. I wasn't born in the 80s. It seems like this type of thing wasn't a thing because if you actually look at how they did it, now it's you take the wife and the husband's like egg and you actually then you place it. It normally doesn't involve. Normally the surrogate is just the carrier. She's not also the mother because he said he was looking for somebody that looked close to his wife. So I think this is one of the first times when that actually happened. So even if she tried to explain it, and her parents weren't from there. At least they didn't sound like they were.
That's changed nowadays. That surrogates are looked at as more of heroes than anything, because there are a lot of women who can't have.
And still want to. I think that was the part too.
So.
But also, like Caitlin said, you gotta also think, like you said, nowadays it's like, yeah, the egg of a woman and the sperm of a man, and then you come together. It's not literally, oh yeah, I'm just using the sperm of the man, like, but that was half of her. So now I can understand why she did steal her, because that is her, you know, like it's not just growing inside you. It's a difference of it growing inside of you and it containing part of you. Like that is half half Mia and half of the guy who literally wanted to have a baby with his wife. It could, you know.
I mean, if you can do it, more power to you.
At the end. What did you think about her calling them at the end? Like they
childish.
And then didn't say, like they knew it was her.
Childish.
But do you think he's gone?
Like that.
Think he might have died or something?
Who, the man?
Joe. Because remember, the girl answered.
Yeah, maybe he was at work or something. I didn't even think about that. But I feel like she was trying to take the steps in healing. You know, Pearl has found out, and I feel like when you get in those situations, you know, it that's a part of your healing. You did just kind of run out on them. You didn't tell them anything. You left them a little note saying you had a miscarriage, and that was it, you know, but you've been holding something from them that they thought they were going to have, and they never got a chance to meet. They never, you know, they're thinking that the baby wasn't around.
But it's like, since she told them that she had a miscarriage, like she almost said more bad than good by even calling. It was like,
yeah, now the relationship is extremely
or is my child
damaged.
out there, almost 18 years old, and I just missed all of that because you just couldn't talk to us.
Yeah. I mean, and you're out $12,000. $12,000 is nothing to blink at. I mean, that's the other thing.
The whole roof for $12,000. Are you
right?
Okay.
Like, I mean that, and I think that's the thing. It's discouraging to see stuff like that, because I think I've actually seen that situation happen a lot of times where people just decide to keep the baby, and I think that it can be nerve-wracking, which is also why I didn't like Mia's character, because at the end where she's like breathing hard and everything, I was like, you wasn't breathing that hard when you lied to them. Like when you told them, you wrote them a whole letter,
literally, like,
so
girl,
extra.
Give it up.
And I know I should have been rooting for them, but
you think they were trying to show the aspect of like a woman's body, a woman's child, like ultimately it's her decision. It is the mother, like no matter what. You like, because that's what they're portraying. Like this is my child. I'm the mother. You know.
She could have been an auntie or something like that. I hate when you promise. It happened on Shameless as well, where she like took all the money and lied. I feel bad because
we talking about Shameless now. We can't go into Shameless.
But then I'm like, girl, yeah, we're gonna start a whole other conversation with that one.
The point that I'm making is that I feel bad because there's a certain amount of people. There are people out there who cannot be mothers, and they work very hard to try to get through their lives, because there are people who can't be mothers and want to be mothers. And adoption could sometimes be hard. I mean, there's a lot of things to it. So I feel angry that Mia got so selfish when she could have talked to them about this. And I feel like they were such understanding people that if she would have said, I want to stay in this kid's life, I want to blah blah blah.
Like, I never felt this, and now that I'm feeling it, am I allowed to change my mind? Like, can we talk about this?
But then that's also on her. Like, you were a virgin, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't even experienced that, and then you're about to go and have a whole baby. You know what I'm saying? So that in itself was, I mean, who do you really blame? Do you blame them? You know, because the lady did ask her, like, is this your, you know, like, you've never done this? She's talking about, like, it's so much that she should have thought about, and it's a young girl, so her emotions, her hormones, like you said, it was just all over the place. And then she lost her brother, her family pretty much abandoned her, you know, so it's like, what else did she have besides the baby in her?
Right.
You know, what else did she have? You know, but that baby, she wasn't gonna lose that part of her, and I feel like because, like you said, it was hers. She, I mean, ultimately ended up keeping it, but
she could have went to them and like, look, I went to my parents. They didn't even ask me. They just threw me out 100%. My brother, he died, and the last thing he said to me was this, and there's just like my hormone, like, you know, I'm getting emotional, I'm getting attached. We might need to talk about, like, I thought I was ready, but I'm not. This is a whole different feeling than what I was expecting. You know, what to expect, you know, can we talk about this? But to end it off, as we always ask, who was the villain and who was the hero?
The real villain.
The show.
Elena was the villain.
Oh.
Elena,
Who you
She
say
was
was the
Elena was
villain?
the villain.
The real villain? Okay.
The real villain?
I would say it was Mia.
I say it's Elaine and Mia. I say
I
it's
say
the
the
mamas.
mom.
I say it's the
The
moms.
mom.
For
Yeah.
sure. They were definitely the villains.
Mhm.
In every aspect. The
Gotta give it to
hero.
Bill. I feel like Bill, he stepped up, but ultimately Elena and Bill's kids, they caught the house on fire. They're like, Mom, like, this is
At
too
least they
much.
got her out. At
That's
least
how
they got her out. I
like
thought they was
the
gonna leave
real
her. I was kind of
hero,
scared.
yeah, it's definitely Izzy. It's
Yeah.
definitely Izzy in my mind. Because she had to go through I'll even say Izzy. No, because Pearl, I didn't like the way she did handle some stuff. I was gonna say Izzy and Pearl, but
Yeah,
Pearl,
was aggravating.
no.
I
yeah,
would
she
say
rubbed me the
Tripp
wrong
and
way a
Moody.
few
Especially
times.
with that bite. Mhm.
Girl,
When
she
she
was
had
like, get
Tripp
out
at
of my
the
room.
place-
Like, girl.
When she had Tripp at the place that Moody showed her, I was like, "Oh, you foul."
Pearl was a villain too.
So,
I'm gonna add Pearl. I'm gonna add
my
Pearl in the
favorite
I feel like
heroes
Pearl
were
was
Tripp
an
and Moody and
unintentional
Izzy.
yeah. And it was rubbed off because her mama is a villain. That's how I look at that. She
Which
ain't
is
know no
what
better
Lex-
because her mama.
And Lexi got hers from her mama.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And Izzy was trying to break free and find a new mama. That's all it was.
And if
Izzy was
Elena
trying
would
to
have just worried
get me
about
to be her
house,
mama. She's like, literally, we can switch, girl. You like my mama. I like your mama. Let's switch houses because I
I
don't like my
supported
mama.
Tripp,
Mia wasn't
Moody,
on that. Mia
and
like, worry
Izzy.
about your household and this is mine.
No, for real though. I think
So-
the other kids were good heroes. Tripp kind of came out of his like box a little bit. He read the bell jar. He didn't know what that was. So Tripp strived to have more. Moody tried to become a little more confident. So and Izzy, I feel I can't give it to Izzy because I hate those kids who just try to make their mom so angry. Sometimes I feel like you just, come on, you're doing the most.
But if my mom's not trying to work with me, like, I'm just going to
I'ma do the most.
I'm going to do whatever I want.
Okay.
You're not worried. You're over here worried about a whole different household when your own daughter, my sister, is about to get a whole abortion. Like, you're worried about the wrong things. And I'm going to keep backing up.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because you're not paying attention to me. I'm a teenager. I need your full attention, Mom. And she
You know
wasn't
you got
before.
4 kids, okay? You
Yeah.
need to learn how to spread it wisely. But yes, as always, thank you for joining the East Cleveland Public Library Watch Club series. Like I said, the Little Fires Everywhere, it is based off of a book. We do have it here at East Cleveland Public Library, so feel free to come by and give it a check on out. And happy International Women's Month again from us. We will be coming back with what we will be doing for next month. We are going to be trying a summer series for the Versus Battle. Okay, we will be doing shows. Yeah, like, you know, a little different,
Old and new.
The girlfriend living single. We clearly have to bring that back for another Versus.
We sure will. We sure will.
We need a whole
But we
hour
will
for
be
that.
doing some new stuff, yes, this summer with the Versus battles. And like I said, always feel free to leave us suggestions on what we should watch or anything like that. And we shall see you next month.